Do you love the flavor of vanilla, but you're tired of paying high grocery store prices and just want a better product in general?
And today on WTF, we're going to show you our Grade A Madagascar vanilla beans and how to use them in everything from a fluffy pancake to a bourbon maple butter emulsion. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Remember, if you like what you see here, just subscribe, ring the bell, because you do want to make sure you get notified of our content. We come out with new recipes, ideas, and just kind of fun stuff every single Tuesday. Now, this week, we're actually going to cover an ingredient that's not very similar to many of our others. We tend to cover like kind of really unique and different things. But today we're going to be talking about the vanilla bean, which has been around forever and ever and ever. However, if you're a home cook like myself, you may have never worked with a fresh vanilla bean. You're familiar with getting the vanilla extract from your grocery store, and if you do see a bean, it's probably dried and not fresh. So it's kind of fun. What we're going to show you today is how to work with it, as well as, of course, demo some recipes. Now, Scott, for people who might not be familiar with vanilla beans, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so vanilla bean is actually like the seed pod from a vanilla orchid. So it's a very particular type of orchid, and literally it's the seed pod that gets dried, and inside when you split them, and we'll see in just a few minutes, I'm going to actually split one, you'll see all the little seeds on the inside. And actually, if we look here, you should be able to see inside this batter that we have for our fluffy pancake, you can see all those little speckles in there, and that's actually where you get all your nice vanilla flavor. But you can use the pods for a number of different things. So if you wanted to make a really great gift, you can make your own vanilla extract, where vanilla extract, if you get the nice, quality vanilla extract in a store, it's about $15 per 2 ounces of vanilla extract. And people don't realize how super simple it is to make something like that. It's literally 8 ounces of vodka and 4 vanilla beans, and you scrape them, set them in there, and allow them to do their thing. But there's different ways we can get into it and talk about, how we can make vanilla extract really easily and get other uses out of it as well. So let me get the first thing going here. I'm going to get this fluffy pancake in because it takes the longest. So we have some here. You can see them all done. But we want to show you on camera just how to make them. So we made a pancake batter. And instead of adding vanilla extract to it, which you could, we wanted to get those little kind of speckles when you broke into it and you get a nice, bright aroma. We made a pancake batter and then we folded in egg whites, right? So we have this really light pancake batter that I'm going to put in. And I'm just going to do 2 scoops of this. And in here, I'm going to have to let it sit for about 14 to 15 minutes just on one side. So it's pretty different, right, than a normal pancake, because it's so thick and it'll rise so much because of the egg whites and the leavening agent. It's actually going to double in size from here. It'll be nice and big like that, and then we'll be able to flip and you get those big, beautiful pancakes, and we'll show them getting broken into later. But
cool.
Pancakes are good, but they need other things with them, so we're going to show that as well. First, let's talk about the vanilla extract. And this is an easy way, because sometimes if you're making vanilla extract at home, you'll scrape the beans, you're going to put them into the vodka, or you can even use bourbon. That's a really good way to get kind of some complexity, some depth to your vanilla extract. But if you take it and you put it into vodka, it's going to be 6 months to 12 months before it's like really perfectly,
ready,
infused. So we're using rapid infusion here, and what this is we have a whipping siphon, and when we charge it with N2O, you could use CO2, but it's much better if you use N2O because the bubble structure is so much finer. And what those bubbles do is they kind of open up those cell walls and allow the moisture to get in from the vodka. And as it's happening, it's extracting more and more and more. So this takes about 2 weeks, which from 6 months to 2 weeks is a pretty big jump. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to cover up the top here. Right, and pull the plunger so we get any gas in there out. And you'll notice it looks like carbonated, but it's actually pretty much nitro vanilla at this point. So let me just take this off, and I'll pour it in here. So you'll see this nice, beautiful brown liquid and the vanilla beans that have been scraped. So you'll get little bits of vanilla in there. Now that's one way to do it, right? Now I'm actually going to just show you. So you don't want to obviously leave it in your cup measure. So best thing to do is I take these vanilla beans, because there's always going to be flavor in these, and I put them down within. But if you, let's say, use all your vanilla, or you end up with a lot more vanilla, pods, you can then take these pods themselves. You can dry them, you put them in sugar, you can put them in salt, you can put them in pretty much anything that's going to dry them out, blend it up, and then you'll have vanilla sugar, vanilla salt, so you can get like a nice savory use out of it too. Vanilla salt's really good on things like lobster. So take this, pour it in. Obviously vanilla sugar is good on pretty much anything, great in coffee. I got one more little vanilla pod in there.
And how long does this keep for once you've made it?
Pretty much it's good forever, because it's alcohol. So the alcohol is really gonna ward off anything. I would say 2 years is max, but if you bake a lot, you're gonna be able to use this up pretty quickly, and a lot more affordable than you would.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think if you try to buy this much, it would be like several $100s.
Yeah, so this is 8 ounces at the rate that we talked about before. It's about $60 to $80 depending on the grade that you're getting. And this is not going to cost you $60 or $80. It's very, very inexpensive. And over time, people are probably noticing the bubbles in there. That's from the N2O that we used in the rapid infusion. That's going to dissipate off, and it's going to be completely neutral. It's not going to have any of those bubbles left over. That's literally what is happening on the inside of those vanilla pods to pull out that flavor. So you have some really beautiful, I don't know if you want to smell it. I don't know if you smelled it yet, but
Oh, it smells so good. But speaking of grades, because you just mentioned it, and I kind of wanted to touch upon it a little bit, because one thing that I didn't know until we started carrying them, when looking into them, is that there are different grades of vanilla beans. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what does it mean? Like, where do they come from? Kind of the background of what to look for in a good bean.
So there's 3 different types of vanilla beans that you're going to see out there. The 2 most common are Madagascar and Tahitian.
Okay.
The one that's not really common at all is going to be a Mexican vanilla bean. Mexican vanilla bean doesn't really have the characteristics that we normally look for in vanilla. It's a little bit more mild. There's a bit less seeds. These are actually Madagascar Grade A, and you can see them. Maybe good to show is that they're so kind of plump and moist, and that's what you want to look for in a good vanilla bean. If you go to the grocery store and you see one measly bean jammed into a little container, and you pull it out and it's dry, that is a grade B vanilla bean. And sometimes they charge upwards of like $20 per bean if it's single packed, and it's a grade B. So it's lesser grade and so astronomically expensive. Right? And to do this, because we're actually going to be making something, so simple, right? So I'm going to score this down the middle.
Okay.
Now with this recipe, you can do it 2 ways. You can score it, scrape it, put the vanilla beans in here, and then put the pod directly inside this and just allow it to rapidly infuse. Or if you have a super bag, you can actually put the entire pod in here, blend it up completely, and then strain out these little bits. Then those little bits can go in. So it depends on what you want to do. So we're going to show you just how to scrape it. So very gently, just run your knife down. If it is a grade B, it's going to be very hard to break it open, and then while you're scraping it, you're going to pull off pieces of that pod as well. But thankfully, with a nice grade A, I went a bit too gentle. There we go. So just make sure it's pulled in half. You can see it's already opening up. And if we can get a really good shot of the interior of this bean,
so many seeds.
It's already coming out onto my fingers, and it's just packed full. So I'm going to give this a scrape. So if you just put your knife down flat and angle it about 45 degrees, and then just gently run it across, You don't want to do a sawing motion because then you're going to cut through the pod itself. Right? So I have this, and I'm just going to put it right into my blender.
Okay.
Right?
What are we making in the blender right now?
So in the blender, sorry, I'm going to show people. I can just take that and put it right into my thing. In restaurants, sometimes we use so many vanilla beans that we, every time we cut one or whatever, we end up with, just putting it in. We end up with gallons upon gallons of our vanilla extract. So like if you purchase, these beans and you get, let's just say 10 of them, you could then just keep putting them in.
Okay.
But what we're going to be making with this, to get back to your question, is actually an emulsion. So we're going to be making, let me just get this off there, is a bourbon, maple, butter, and vanilla emulsion.
Ooh.
So all the flavors that you kind of want on those pancakes brought up to the next level. Let me get some of these beans there. Right. So we have maple syrup, grade A, fresh maple syrup. We have just a little bit of high quality bourbon. If you put too much bourbon, you're going to end up with really alcoholic pancakes. Now, if that's what you want, by all means, go ahead. We have some smoked salt that we're going to add. And then we have a special ingredient that I'll talk about in just a moment. So I'm going to put the maple syrup in. So high quality, fresh maple syrup. This is going to be pretty controversial, but Canadian maple syrup, so much better than American maple syrup.
What?
I know, yeah, you trust me.
He's going to get booed out of
Oh,
New Hampshire.
yeah, it is night and day. All right, then I'm going to put, so I'm going to put my bourbon in, high quality bourbon, my smoked salt. So this is adding a little bit of, savoriness to it, but also a tiny touch of smokiness. You don't want it to be completely smoky. You don't want it to taste like barbecue pancakes, but just a little bit of smokiness kind of brings out that bourbon without having to have more alcohol. Now, this ingredient, 210S, and we've used this before. We used it in our Valentine's Day episode from last year, 2018. So this is going to allow us to make an emulsion with a solid fat like butter, and it's going to stay liquid at room temperature in the refrigerator. And we can also pour it onto pancakes. We can take this and make a cocktail out of it. We can do all sorts of great things. So 210S is a really great emulsifier. So I'm just going to sprinkle this on top, right, and then get it going. And we did do an Instagram video all about this recipe, so you can check that out. Right, so I'm just going to get this going.
Okay. And you don't even have to blend it for that long.
No, you just need to blend it for a little bit of time just to try and get that 210S mixed in there. Great thing is you don't have to worry about it clumping up so much.
Okay.
And if you can look, it's hard to see because it is brown on brown, but there is so many little vanilla bean, in there. So I'm going to start adding in my whole melted butter.
Okay.
So just a slow drizzle to create an emulsion. It's very simple. I just added this butter to the, or put it into the microwave. You can put it on a pan, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
from just a practical perspective, like why not put the butter in with all the other ingredients? Because I think that's come up in other things we cover where sometimes people will add everything in at once, but it wouldn't quite work. Why is that?
So what's happening right now is that the butter is getting cut into the liquid. So this is a oil in water emulsion. And if I were to add it all at once and try and blend it, it just overwhelms it. So they would stay separated. Now, even though there is an emulsifier, it still needs to go through the emulsification process of the blending and the cutting into to the water. So when I get towards the end now, I have all these milk solids, which is going to help it just a little bit. And one main characteristic of a good emulsion is a bit of thickness, right?
Okay.
Now, if you notice this is extremely watery, then you've done something wrong and you've broken your emulsion. Also, you can see kind of how opaque it is.
Yes.
That's a good thing. So now, what you want to do is you want to take this, you can put it into a container, you can put it into the refrigerator, but you can also use it right away if you wanted to. So Janie, I unfortunately forgot to get you a fork. But if we can get a good picture of that, you're going to have to use this big spoon.
I will do that.
Yes. So
Yes,
while you're doing
a big
that.
spoon for a big pancake.
Yeah. So here, you want to try this just for now?
Okay.
A little dip on that.
Just a little dip.
So
This is very rich, right?
Yeah,
like
it's
I don't want to
rich.
be
I
like
mean,
eating a spoonful.
2
of it.
full sticks of butter went into it, so
It is super good.
it's nice and rich. You get all the maple butter flavor that you would normally have on pancakes, but kind of in a new, different way. Right? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
and
around.
it's perfectly balanced. Like none of the flavor. Like I can get the maple, the bourbon, the vanilla, the butter. Like nothing is overwhelming
Yes.
any of the other components.
Yep. So
Oh, it's so good. I could chug it, but then I die
I
of a
don't
heart
think
attack.
I don't think you should chug it. So I'm gonna do this. I can take that off, just so you know that
Yeah.
ring mold is extremely hot. So,
And was
chef
this
hands.
cooking on medium or low this whole time?
So this is on like a medium to high, like the lowest medium to high. So I just get a little bit of browning. You can see that kind of ring around the bottom, and I just give it a shake, and when it stops jiggling in the middle, so it's just like a normal pancake. When you see those bubbles start to come up, you know you're getting pretty close to nailing it. So I'm just gonna put it on this, and then you can just give it a flip.
Ooh.
And it's totally fine if you get those little, crimps around the edges. We have them on these as well, but you don't want to overcook it because then it'll just be dry, right?
Yep.
So while this finishes cooking, Janie, we can eat some of these, and you can absolutely put a large dollop of whipped cream to top off what is already a low-calorie breakfast.
This looks so good.
And I can, if you wanted to taste this super duper fresh one,
Oh, okay.
you could absolutely do
'Cause I
that.
was gonna say, like, I was about to
Those are only
knock
as
over the
long as
entire tower of pancakes.
All right, there
Yay.
you go.
Hot off the griddle.
Think about just
It's
picking it
so
up and eating
vanilla-y.
it.
I know, that was my backup plan. I was like, I don't think I had anything else, just gonna pick it up. I might pick it up anyway.
It's super light and fluffy. Those egg whites really help with it. And one thing I did with the egg whites is I added a little bit of egg white powder just to raise the protein content of
Okay.
the egg whites themselves. So I was able to, kind of fortify the egg whites with a little bit of egg white powder, just so as they whip and as they get mixed into our batter, they don't just deflate immediately. So it's a really nice little trick you can do if you have egg white powder.
Yeah, and the pancakes are so light. Like, you kind of think that it's going to be a lot, but it's
Yeah.
not at all. It kind of is like a little souffle.
It is. It is like a little souffle pancake. Because they do come up about, an extra quarter of an inch to a half an inch, and then you have like a nice, really nice pancake. And also, we use some of the I'm Free Perfect baking powder. So like a late acting baking powder. We have a whole episode on it. Links in the description below. But that late acting baking powder just helps it rise a little bit more too.
This is now my favorite pancake and my favorite pancake.
You like pancakes, right? This is like your
I
thing.
love pancakes.
All right, there we go.
I know.
And these pancakes, absolutely, if you don't have ring molds, you can do them directly in a pan, no problem. So they may just be a little bit wider, obviously, but they can still be super duper fluffy and delicious.
Yeah, and like I love this emulsion that you made with it. It's so good.
Right?
So, and of course, as always, all the recipes will be in the links in the description below, and you can catch us on Instagram at Modernist Pantry to watch this whole thing being made from start to finish, which would be kind of fun. So give these recipes a shot, and we're gonna have these vanilla beans available for sale on our website. So it is new to Modernist Pantry, but we're excited to make it available because they're so good and so much better than anything that you're gonna get in most grocery stores.
Yes.
So give it a
100%.
shot. And from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And turn that bell on because it notifies you when we drop a new video.
If you like any of today's recipes, go to blog.modernistpantry.com. There you'll find recipes, Ask a Chefs, and tips and tricks, and more.
And if you have a friend who you think would like this video, share it with them.
And to get any of these great ingredients, just go to our website, www.modernistpantry.com.
And until next time, we'll be here in the test kitchen, helping you create memorable and magical experiences.